Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, continuing our never-ending dig for brand new information on the Outer Worlds. Today we are digging into an article by IGN and we'll be focusing on leveling up as well as some more world building for the introduction of the Outer Worlds. This article will be linked in the description down below, do check it out, and now let's dive right in. The idea is that this smaller corner of the galaxy and its two planet-like celestial bodies were discovered, purchased, and terraformed for colonization, but something went wrong. Terra 1, now known as Monarch, didn't take to the terraforming, and it now became a moon full of monsters. The other planet, Terra 2, known as Halcyon, fared much better. It's Earth-like with plants and trees and animals, but it's not really Earth. Those trees are mostly oaks and kinda pines, trademarked most likely, and so this fills in some blanks that we had when analyzing the trailer. We knew we were looking at two different planets when we saw Halcyon and how that was a complete colony full of people. It's easy to figure out what that is, so now we can distinguish when we look at this one area that looks almost like it's radiated, something straight out of Fallout, completely destroyed. This is likely Monarch, the place that didn't take too kindly to terraforming and is now full of the creepy monsters, which in the trailer were next shown afterwards. So that's a blank filled in thanks to IGN. To that degree, who you work for and what you do for your employer in this fringe colony is the beginning and the end of your social standing. Society has weirdly evolved here. There's a shorthand full of slang and colloquialisms that are more reminiscent of an old west mining town than that of a far future space colony. The good news is things like racism and prejudice aren't things anymore, but there is tribalism. Now, if you work for Spacer's Choice, you don't trust and likely even hate those who work for Auntie Cleo's. And you know who belongs to what because everyone's armor is plastered with propaganda of where you work. It's very interesting to see that we will have our brands posted all over our armor. I thought to myself, if it's going to be like New Vegas, where if I'm wearing NCR armor in a Legion territory, will I be attacked? Same thing here. If I'm wearing Auntie Cleo's armor in a Spacer's Choice area, will people open fire on me? Or treat me differently, approach me differently? Will dialogue change? A lot of this stuff, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Furthermore, I find it more interesting because the one time we do see our player character, he just has hope pasted on his back. He is a blank slate. So I wonder if over time, as we change how we look, if our personal armor will represent that of the brands within the game. Each corporation has its own personality and quirks that are more than just world-building flavor. Auntie Cleo's makes mostly food and drugs, lots of drugs, and they're the good stuff. Spacer's brand makes everything, but it makes the cheapest version of it. Everything it makes unfailing breaks, but it's really easy to repair, so your mileage may vary. So Spacer's, I'm guessing, is kind of like the Walmart of the Halcyon colony, right? Cheap, affordable, reusable, replaceable, but yeah, it'll get the job done. And Auntie Cleo's is exactly as we had speculated. That wasn't too hard to tell based off some of the artistic design choices behind the logo and some of the pitch lines that were tied to the concept art for Auntie Cleo. Anyway, this just helps us get a better idea of how the factions are in the Outer Worlds. So far, we don't know much about the personality outside of something that Burke had to say once.
Oh, before I forget, Auntie Cleo's makes the best pharmaceuticals in Halcyon. Better than nature. Not like that crap Spacer's Choice peddles.
Now on to leveling up. In it, you gain experience, level up, assign ability points, and perks to slowly carve out a play style. Maybe you're into swinging sci-fi sledgehammers. Good stuff, you can build into melee. Or if you want to be a silver-tongued problem solver, you can focus on social skills like persuasion, intimidation, and lying to bluff your way through dialogue and avoid a fight altogether. So we actually had not heard anything about ability points. I'm curious to see exactly what that is, but more so than anything, I want to see how the social skills end up building out, because that is a character I would be most interested in diving into. It's been a really long time since I played a game where I can just talk my way out of almost anything. Furthermore, you can build into tech skills, science, medical, and engineering. If you want to make a character who's very tech-oriented, you can. For example, there's a whole subcategory of sci-fi prototype weapons that increase in power with your science skill rather than your gunmanship, with unpredictable, funny side effects. Things like shrink ray that appropriately shrinks down anything organic you shoot, causing it to have less hit points and do more damage, and if it's a person, it gets a high, squeaky voice. What really gets me pumped about this part is seeing science, medical, engineering, gunmanship, I love that because what I'm thinking as a speech-based character is, oh man, look at all these skills I may have to invest in or try to evenly spread out for my speech checks, because maybe when I enter dialogue, if I'm good at science, that can be an option in dialogue for a specific situation. That's the best feeling in RPGs. It's one of the main reasons I started falling in love with Fallout. The reason this ties to my excitement is because we have seen speech checks like mentioned earlier with intimidation, persuasion, and all that stuff. So I do hope it ties into combat skills, tech skills, and so on. With every 20 points sunk into a particular skill, you get a new perk. For example, building into stealth makes you hard to see, but drop 20 points into the stealth skill, and now you're doing more damage when sneaking. These bonuses happen every 20 points all the way up to 100, so there's some incentive for committing to a path. So this is our first discussion on stealth skills. We can't confirm anything until it's there in writing, so it's good to know that there are stealth skills in the game for those who want to take a quieter approach to things. We knew the game would tailor to a stealthy playstyle, but to have skills built around it, awesome stuff. So now you could be a stealthy science man shooting shrink rays from the shadows. Say that 10 times fast. Each companion comes with 3 skills that they're really good at. When you level up, so do your companions, and you get to pick what perks they get from their own perk trees, and each companion brings their own preferences and special attacks. For example, Felix has a drop kick takedown. What a beast. And Obsidian likes companions so much that it has included a 4th pillar to the gameplay, leader. Now instead of going into the combat route, the dialogue path, or the stealthy option, you can be a leader and build into buffing up your companions. The leader skill splits between inspiration and determination. Inspiration increases your companions' damage, and determination allows them to take less damage. This is such an awesome idea on paper, but it must be executed very well. The reason I say that is since it banks a lot on the AI doing its job. What I love most about this skill is this is like the perfect replay the game skill that you can invest in. It's a completely different route of playing the game. Of course, guns blazing is different from stealth, but we usually see that nowadays. But you don't see anybody saying, hey, go be a leader, sit in the back lines, and let your companions do the fighting by telling them what to do. And I wonder if there are certain things you can't access for your companions, skill-wise and power-wise, weapon-wise, unless you continuously invest in them. Just speculation, just some food for thought, but I think that would be really cool if Obsidian takes that route. Lastly is about the ship. Unlike other lovable captains of science fiction like Malcolm Reynolds or Han Solo, you're no star pilot. You don't have the faintest idea how to fly a ship, and you can't go anywhere at any time, which is why you need pass keys to access landing pads in other areas before you can head there. Fortunately, your ship's onboard AI named Ada handles the flying. Like all of the computers in the other worlds, Ada isn't sentient, but she does make comments that make you wonder what's going on in her circuitry. Maybe there's more to explore there. It makes you wonder. So this is really important to point out because during the in-depth analysis for the reveal trailer of The Outer Worlds, I pointed out that we saw the scientist flying a ship, and most had assumed, oh, he's flying our ship. He's going to be a main character in the game. Then we read in a future article that you could screw him over, and I thought to myself, who's piloting the ship at that point in time? Turns out no one is. So you go to Ada, which we actually saw in the gameplay reveal for The Outer Worlds. You pick a destination, I imagine, and there's a loading screen that you go through, and boom, you're there on that planet. So that's how all that works. That was a big question for a lot of us who've been paying very close attention to The Outer Worlds, now finally answered. Thank you once again, IGN. Anyway, that is all the brand new information I could dig up for you guys. Continue sending all of it my way, and I'll be sure to continuously bulk up all of the info into one big video and dump it into your laps. So I hope you've been enjoying all this content. I've been having a blast making videos for The Outer World, and I'd love to hear what you think about all of this in the comments down below. Do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.